the need to always feel like you have to be winning or successful to be valuable, to be seen, to be important. None of that really matters. I think one of the things that we've learned during this time, that it takes something to make you really focus on and see what's important, right? When you hear about a pandemic or you hear about murder bees or whatever is going on, a hurricane, you don't think about, how much more did I make than this person, or how much, you think about the people who matter and the people that you love.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to win, we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life. Welcome to Innovation City.
Welcome to Innovation City, a podcast featuring the innovators, creators, and disruptors who are changing the way that business happens. My name is Tyler Kelly. I'm here with my co-host Leanne Buchanan.
Hey, everybody.
And today is a very special day because we are joined by Danie Spikes.
Hey.
Welcome, Danie.
Do you say that in front of all of your guests?
No.
So today is really a special day.
It is a special day.
Oh, I feel special.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Danie, clearly you need no introduction because you are on it and ready to go. But for those that don't know you the way that we know you,
okay.
You are the CEO and co-founder of Beloved Box,
Correct.
Which is an amazing fragrance house and product that is all about great skin and experiences and really looking at how you can encapsulate love into a product. And so why don't we talk a little bit about Beloved Box later? Let's start off with you.
Oh,
so
thank you.
Danie, what are you passionate about?
That's a fabulous question. I'm passionate about... Damn. That's actually a really great question as a founder, because once I hear Beloved Box, immediately I'm going into the pitch, right? What we're all about and how we've changed the world. But at the core, it's about love, really, which sounds cheesy and very catch-all. But the truth is, I'm really passionate about relationships. I never realized how much I cared about and loved and studied and really invested in relationships until really recently. But all of the work that I've done in my life, whether it was the TEDx talk or the coaching or my background in psychology or even Beloved Box, it's really about that relationship with self, and then that relationship, how that transposes to our relationships with others. And so I know that sounds very on brand, but it's true. I really, really care about it because we look at our world over the past 10, 20 years and how much relationships have really affected how we see ourselves, how we conduct ourselves, how we see others. Now is as an important a time as ever to really hunker down on that. And it makes my life work feel valid and important and seen that, relationships are. It's really all that matters.
So, Danie, when we talk about relationships, a lot of people fail to see the distinction between transactional exchanges and real, meaningful, authentic spaces of belonging.
Oh, this is really going there.
This is going there. You know me.
It's red table talk.
So, talk to us a little bit about what you've learned are some key ingredients for and I don't want to use a qualifier like good, but like for an authentic relationship.
Oh, that's really great. So we kind of talk about, since we're going there, the reconciliation of self, right? And so that those honest, vulnerable conversations that we have with ourselves about who we really are, what's important to us, what's valuable to us. And then those spaces, those people who hold spaces for us, those spaces where we feel comfortable to bring that, right? So many times we get online and we want to know what makes this relationship healthy or what makes this relationship happy. And there's no one finite definition, right? Relationships where you're growing, relationships where you're yourself, relationships where you go beyond the surface, and we've talked about this personally, to the why, relationships where you're able to kind of just show up in all that you are. I think those are really great indicators, but those aren't the end all and be alls. It's once you have those honest conversations with yourself about what's important to you and why you are at the space that you are at, and then those people who celebrate that and hold a space for you, that's where you should really kind of focus on and then expand that space.
Yeah. The reason why I wanted to start with kind of the depth of what you do before talking about Beloved Box is because I think more than ever, a lot of companies that have traction, that are resonant, that see success are ones that fully bake into their product or their offering a philosophy, right? And so I want you to talk about Beloved Box. Like, how did it come to be? And how does your experience and context as being a lover of relationships find its way into your work?
So there are two stories that I tell, and since we only have 20 minutes, I'll really condense both of them into one. So I believe that my life's work began before I was even conscious of it, right? Which is really existential, but I mean, we're here now. Why not? I've always loved fragrance, 6 years old, I would break my perfumes and blend them to different scents and got in trouble for them a lot, right? So then you fast forward, of course, I had a traumatic experience in college. And at that moment, I dedicated my life to making people feel better. Because I don't know about you, Tyler, or you, Leanne, but I've been to the bottom, right? And I'm not talking about the bottom that we see that's, commercialized and glamorized in the movies. I'm talking about that emotional bottom, right? And that no one sees it, or you feel unseen, or you feel unheard. No one knows it but really you. And I didn't want people to experience that. I didn't want people to be alone. I didn't want people to miss intimacy and connection to others, not just in a physical sense, but like just in a present sense. So that became really important to me. Met amazing guy, Danie Spikes, who we just so happened to be partners in life and in business together. And so like we just started creating this brand around love and that journey that we both took individually and together in finding self. We met incredibly young, too young, 21 years old, 20 and 21 years old. And so we just took this really great journey on self-love. And either way, long story short, the first gift that I ever gave him was an inscribed money clip that said, "I am yours and you are mine." We're very deep in our faith, which I didn't know is actually a scripture in the Bible that says, "I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine." Yeah. Right? Beloved Box. It's our box. Our colors is the color of my engagement ring, which is the month that we fell in love. And every scent is really an homage to the first clients that I had as a relationship coach and the things that they had issues with. And then how did fragrance come into play? Nothing creates more of an memory than fragrance. You remember, if I asked you, how does your mom smell? You can tell me what your mom smells like. You can tell me what a house or a space or an experience smells like. So we coupled all of that and just created something and gave it to the world that has really morphed into way more than we ever imagined, ever experienced, into now like a men's self-care line, and then couples, and then now we're doing Beloved Home.
Wow. So we know that there's love in the box.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about what is in and there's more than one box, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
So tell me about the product line. Like what is it?
So it started off as a massage oil candle, which I mean fun, right? For multiple reasons. Because, I have sensitive skin. I'm one of the true people who have really sensitive skin. Water sometimes burns my skin. Water, H2O, something that we need, right? Which is crazy. My husband has eczema. And so we were new, we were married, we're in love. We were doing all of those, corny things that people who are in love do, which include, let's spice up the bed. And so, so, we wanted to try out a massage oil candle, and nothing worked. Researched on Amazon. If it's not on Amazon, it doesn't exist. And so nothing worked. And so he looked at me. He's like, babe, this is something that we should do. And I was like, what? You don't know nothing about candles. Like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Long story short, created a candle, which made us really look into the other things that we were putting on our skin. And, his eczema cleared up, candle led to other products. And then we thought about, what would we like? This might be too much information. You can edit it out in post, but we take showers together. Like, so what would that look like for a couple who may not have that time? Once they get out that shower, it's the kids, it's emails, it's phone calls. What does it look like when a woman just wants a moment to herself and wants to turn her entire bath into an oasis? What would we want? And we put all those things inside of a box and then coupled it with music. So we have partnerships with Apple Music and Spotify, and we're working on Tidal now, and then coaching questions anchored around the scents. And so it wasn't just like, if you get one, you get all, because we're very multifaceted people. And so every be calm may not necessarily resonate questions with be seduced, but those are two different feelings that really need to be addressed. So forward moving questions to help you experience all of that. It's a very thoughtful. We spend a lot of time in the brain and the heart area with
very
the company.
Immersive, it sounds like.
Extremely immersive. Lots of research, lots of trial. We're very clean people. We take lots of baths.
So Danie, I want you to unpack for us what it was like to launch a business. So, Beloved Box is an experience. You and your husband really, put your heart and soul into it. But like, having an experience and running a business that is growing are two different things. So talk to us about like what that process was like and some of the challenges that you've had.
Yeah, and we're going pretty quick. We were, just as a caveat, I want to name drop, because Dartmouth College, Tuck School of Business is an amazing program, and they partnered us with MBA students who actually, once they did our evaluation, we have currently a 4.8 evaluation, said that we grew 94% since our start, right?
Wow.
So it's like, that's fast. It's aggressive. And so it's two completely different parts. And I love having these very candid conversations about what it's like to grow. So you have the lover part and the fun part, the packaging and the experience and the, you're just putting it together, and it's so much fun. And then there's the running the business part, which I like to akin to, running into battle with a machete in your teeth and two blowtorches, and you just gotta make it happen, right? Very two different versions of myself, two different versions of my partner in business that I never knew existed until we got here, but we're here now. So, kind of contractually and legally bound together. So there's not really much we can do there. And so just business really, it's a lot. And there aren't enough moments in the day, because you need to constantly be able to have multiple conversations. There are the conversations that I have with my investors are completely different than the conversations that I have with buyers, which is completely different than the conversation that I have with a minister who runs a marriage ministry, which is completely different than the conversation that I have with the woman who realizes that she's been putting herself on the back burner and she does need to practice self-care, but she doesn't know how, and it needs to be more than just a bath and a mask, right? Mm-hmm. So being able to switch gears really quickly, because sometimes that woman is that buyer and sometimes that pastor is that investor, right? And you need to be able to switch gears and maintain your sanity all at the same time. Key things that I learned about myself is that I don't have all the answers. I will be honest. Okay, I'm a control freak, Danie Spikes, founder and president of the Control Freaks Association. And it showed up in the business as, thinking that I had all the right answers and I knew how to do everything. And so releasing that kind of control and releasing that need to be in charge and have the answers was one of the biggest areas of growth that I have experienced as a leader. I can't tell you everything that has happened over the last 2.5 years because we just don't have the time, but just know that it was one of the most rewarding, giving, growing, financially lucrative experiences that I've ever had, but it's also been the most lonely, depressing, and isolating experiences as well. And being able to go through both is kind of like, whew.
So it's interesting, and I may have posted this on social media, and you probably saw it, but you know, control is defined to some as the connection or the tension between ego and a lack of trust. And so I'm gonna let you sit with that. Sit with that one. Because, and I want to talk about trust because trust is a very difficult thing to cultivate in terms of creating a network of support around something that's your baby. It's your business. It's your idea. It's the thing that you are investing your blood, sweat, tears, and battle energy into, right? As you just kind of described. And so, Danie, why don't you talk to us for a moment about how you have cultivated trust and then perhaps become a trusted advisor in this kind of micro community around beauty CPG startups?
That's really great. So one of the things that I'm passionate about is consumer packaged goods, CPG. And I started Hello Beauty because I needed a space to be vulnerable, right? And that was my biggest pathway to trust, vulnerability, and just being honest, and about what I was feeling, where I was, what I was experiencing, what I didn't know, because it's funny how people expect founders to be this like demigods, right? And then once they like get to like the multi whatever status, then they're just gods, right? They're untouchables. But I cultivated trust with the people around me. I cultivated trust with those who come to me as an advisor or any of the boards I sit on by just being really, really vulnerable, not to the point of like oversharing. But if someone came to me and was like, hey, Danie, how do you feel about this? Or why did you do this? If I didn't know why I did it, if it was just dumb luck, just being honest and being like, listen, girl, I didn't know we did this way and it really kind of worked out. We reverse engineered it and figured out that was the best decision, but going in, this really wasn't planned out. And then people feel like they can trust you and they know that you're not going to just tell them something just to tell them something. So, and then also trusting that I'm capable of making great decisions. And again, not to seem, I'm really coming off more spiritual than I am, but like that I trust God enough that, he wouldn't fail me. Again, coming off really super I'm not that girl. Still want to come off that way, but it's true. You gotta trust God and you gotta trust yourself.
Be your authentic self.
Yeah.
Well, one of the struggles we don't talk about a whole lot on the show is just this idea of, you start a business and then you have a pretty good run of success, and then at that point it's like, who do you talk to that you can share these experiences with? Because your circle of friends, they don't know what you're going through. No. They just can't have that conversation. So where do you find that support? Is it in your husband? Is it in networking? Like where do you find people that?
No, my husband's tired of me talking about business. I'm tired of talking to him. You want to
stay married.
Right. It's funny because we've shifted. In the beginning, I was the one that always wanted to talk about business and do this, but now that his like division is like growing, he wants to talk about it. I'm like, I'm off. I clocked out. So am I getting paid overtime for this? So who do you talk to? I'm very blessed. My mom was an entrepreneur, very successful one at that. But I actually like to talk to people who are so far ahead of me, and not just in business. I'm talking about like in life. Like they're just, and that doesn't necessarily mean older. They're just more experienced. They have a different vantage point. But then I also like to talk to people who are not there yet, because they remind you of why you worked so hard to get where you are. And it's that finding that I don't I don't say balance, but finding that metric of looking ahead, but also reminding where you're coming from, that keeps me in a space of forever gratitude. Because even my peers who have experienced the same amount of success, they're getting mass distribution, they're speaking internationally, their honorariums are going up, because I do have different aspects of the business. They don't want to hear my problems. They have the same problems. We're all looking for investors, right? We're all having these same conversations. But when I talk to those who have already sold and they've been acquisitioned, they're like, yeah, I remember that. I remember feeling that way. And I remember, having those conversations, and I know what you're going through. But then when I talk to, my group or women who are just starting out, they're like, man, I can't wait to have those problems. I cannot wait to have a purchase order of, 7 figures and you don't know how to feel. Like, that's exciting to me. Mm-hmm. And that kind of like perfect blend is where I try to stay.
There's so much, but
yeah.
It's
Are we
time.
done?
It's time for the lightning round.
Oh, fun.
So you
exciting.
come prepared. So Danie, this is a good one. What can you do that you could not do a year ago?
Cry openly. Yeah, I wouldn't let people see me cry, but now it's just, we're all falling apart. So.
Ain't that the truth?
This is very understood.
Where have you found peace?
Oh, where have I found peace? I had a very funny response. I was going to say in my bank account.
I mean, there are different types of peace,
Yes.
and financial freedom is one of them.
So that, but also in my friendships, I've gotten really close to people unexpectedly, and I found so much peace in that.
How are you making a difference in this world?
I remind people that even though someone who's never met you can hate you, someone who's never met you can love you.
I like that. What do you spend too much time doing?
Looking at my bank account. I was so poor for so long. No, I spend way too much time creating fragrance. I love being a perfumer, and so you can probably smell me from across the room. So I spend way too much time. I have over 200 fragrances already developed for Beloved Box.
Wow.
Most of them will never see the light of day.
What's your favorite fragrance? Do you have
One
a
Night
favorite?
Stand. My husband made it, and
Okay.
yeah, I kind of worried about that because it's called. But nothing some good therapy can't fix. No, but One Night Stand is actually in my bag. I'll let you smell it. It's an oud resin, which is really known in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. It's more sultry and sexy. It has undertones of pineapple, but it also glows with jasmine on top. It was a very thoughtful blend that he created for me, and he sticks it into my purse every chance he gets, so that when I'm out and about, I can wear it and think of him.
This is like a product demo.
Mm-hmm.
Try that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah.
lovely. I might have to order that. Not
Not available.
Yeah. So, last question. What do you want to let go of?
The need to seem perfect. The need to always feel like you have to be winning or successful to be valuable, to be seen, to be important. None of that really matters. I think one of the things that we've learned during this time in the world, this space that we're in, is that sometimes that it takes something to make you really focus on and see what's important.
Yeah.
Right? When you hear about a pandemic or you hear about murder bees or whatever is going on, a hurricane, you don't think about, how much more did I make this person, or how much, you think about the people who matter and the people that you love. And so that's my thing.
I love that.
Thank you.
Me too.
Black Table Talk.
All right. So I get what you I know that we could probably talk for another hour. I feel it.
Definitely.
I totally feel
Part
it.
2.
We will do a part 2.
Oh, yeah.
But for now, how do people get in touch with you, Danie, on social media, the website? How can they order the Beloved Box?
You can watch my TED Talk, please. or connect with me on my website, www.iamdanie, Spikes.com. Follow me on Instagram, Love Coach Danie Spikes. That's Danie with an I and not a Y. You can definitely go to belovedbox.com, BELOVEDBOX.com. Take 10% off using the code LOVE for your first order. Oh, yeah, always be selling. 10% off your first order. And just you have an opportunity to experience and finally answer the question, isn't it nice to be loved?
Well, Danie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I love this. This is fun. I hope I wasn't too crazy.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Innovation City. If you like this episode, you can find more episodes at innovationcity.co or anywhere where you watch or listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and we'll see you next week.
This is where it all begins, so say goodbye to all your fears, all your doubts. This is where they die. This is where we come to fly. This is where we make our dreams come to life.